Hello YouTube, TheBLOB here, and with the Ninth Age reaching version 1 and settling in for quite a while, I wanted to talk about something that I struggle with brutally in this game, and that's character construction. From lords to heroes, I am pretty bad at making a character that I'm comfortable with for the long haul. Um, and usually they display some sort of glaring weakness. So, with the three armies that I have, which are the Vampire Covenant, the Orcs and Goblins, and the Highborn Elves, I thought I'd talk to you about some characters that I was tinkering with. I'm not going to go into the um, the art and the science of character construction. I'm not going to do that, and I'm not going to do that because I really don't know that stuff. I end up watching other people's YouTube videos to figure that stuff out, and even then, it may or may not rub off on me. So instead, like I said, I'm gonna sort of run through some characters with you. I'm gonna throw up what I made up on the screen there, run through it, and just talk to you about where I'm coming from when I made these characters. And I'm looking for feedback from you Ninth Age players out there on any number of these characters, whether or not they have any use at all, they're insane, a waste of time, even just a why. Why did you choose this over that? Um, in the comments, throw it out there. But let's dive right into the specific character that triggered this discussion and made me want to go ahead and put this on YouTube. And that was a Vampire Covenant BSB. Oh boy. Okay. So at first, I went ahead and went Barrow King, and I went Barrow King because I found a really great model, and I tried to do some conversion work on it, and I just liked the idea of the Barrow King BSB. But I started looking at the version 1 rulebook of Vampire Covenant and doing the math, and these two BSBs, one being a vampire hero, um, not not that they're radically different, but they both have huge pluses. So the first one here, Vampire Courtier BSB. He rocks at 190 points for a BSB. And I know that seems like a lot, maybe, but for vampire counts, from what I've seen, it's not that much. But he's got plate armor shield, blood dragon, uh, bloodline. Perfect warrior is the skill, blessed sword, talisman of greater shield. Weapon skill 8, strength 5, tough 4, initiative 6 with 4 attacks, and those attacks make the opponent reroll ward saves. And this guy can use lethal strike, so cutting up regen. So anti ward, and if you're lucky, anti regen. He's 3 up armor, 5 up ward, being hit on 5s in many cases. Rank and file troops, I think, mostly is what I'm thinking of here. He's not so hard to wound at toughness 4, and he's only got 2 wounds, but he is vampiric. Along with invocation, he'll be biting people, hopefully, and healing up. Because 45 points are being used for his Blood Dragon powers, he's actually cheaper than the Barrow King I'm about to show you without the powers, but those powers give him Lethal Strike, and sometimes the enemy's hitting on 5s with that weapon skill 8. Again, rank and file troops. Um, Unfortunately, he's 40 points more than this next guy, which is the Barrow King. This is the construction I was fiddling with the model I've got at 150 points, heavy arm shield, blessed sword, talisman of greater shield. Cheaper investment, for sure. 40 points may not seem like much, but in the rulebook there, the Black Banner, which is in the army list I really want to use, and the Blade of Red Thirst, which is a sweet looking magic item. If you haven't looked at the book, they both are 40 points. So, awesome. Weapon skill 8, strength 5, tough 4, 4 attacks. And again, the opponents rerolling ward saves, and this guy can dole out lethal strike because it comes naturally in his profile. He also gets multi-wound 2 on infantry characters. So he might murder a hero in a challenge immediately. Cav, he gets 2 wounds, and War Beast, plus his attacks are magical. All that stock. 4 up armor, 5 up ward, tough to wound at toughness 5, and 3 wounds for a hero, which your opponents generally are very annoyed to find out exists. So those are the 2 Vampire Covenant BSBs that I'm looking at. And honestly, I was looking at what a BSB really does for the Covenant army anyway. Pre-Vampire Covenant players, look it up, because since you're not rallying and panicking, the BSB crumble rules are where it's at. So that brings me to Highborn Elves. And again, I'm looking at the hero class. I'm looking at what's called the commander now. And I got a BSB construction I'm throwing up here for you at 174 points. This guy has great weapon, dragon forged armor, shield, longbow. And then he's got the Queen's Companion upgrade, Moonlight arrows, and the Dusk Stone coming in at 30 points. He's got a 4 up armor, 6 up ward, and a 2 up ward versus flaming. Rerolls armor saves, and this is a ballistic skill 6 archer that gets 3 shots at strength 4, magic, and flaming. And when he gets into close combat, you're looking at 3 attacks, web skill 6, strength 6, going at initiative 7. So this guy's kind of, covers all the bases. Not necessarily super survivable, but tricky, right? Tricky. This next commander, 110 points. This is not a BSB. Don't get confused there. The 2 Vampire Covenant ones were BSBs, but in Highborn, I was just messing around with the hero class commander all around. This commander, 110 points. Dragon Forged armor, shield, longbow. He's using the Fleet Officer upgrade, and this is because I intended to use him in I can't think of their names right now, but you know what I'm talking about. The Sea Guard fellas. And Spear of the Blazing Dawn for 20 points. This little magic item is quite fascinating for a hero character, the Spear of the Blazing Dawn, if you haven't looked at the Highborn book. This commander, 4 up armor, 6 up ward, and a 2 up versus flaming. So that's straight on with the BSB I showed you just then. He can move and fire if he's not marching. He can combat reform the unit once they get charged, which I haven't tried yet. If you've tried that rule out, leave a comment. Tell me how you feel about it. Is it? Because they reform. Let me digress here. Because they reform, it looks like after the charge hits home. So, and I got to go back and read the rules. But if you get hit on the front and flank, can you just reform, or are you stuck at that point? Because my experience previously was you can't reform once you hit the front flank or front rear, whatever. Anyway, he can combat reform the unit. He's got 3 attacks at initiative 7, and no matter what, he's wounding on 3s because of the Dawn Spear. And the tougher the opponent, the less their armor save can help them because of the Dawn Spear. If you haven't looked at the Spear of the Blazing Dawn, it always strikes at 1 strength higher than the enemy's toughness. So you figure if something is, on the off chance something is, toughness 6 with armor, the spear's hitting at strength 7. So it's going to destroy any menial armor that monster beast might have. So yeah, leave me a comment on that. Highborn Elf Commanders BSB and the other fella here. At 110 points, I really like this Fleet Officer Commander. I can't lie. I thought about putting the Spear of the Blazing Dawn on a lord on a horse, so that he can ride with silver helms, or whatever they're called now, lancers. And now we get into my last army, which the Orcs and Goblins, but mainly cave goblins. So I've got to have Cave Goblin Lords. I've got to have a semi-durable guy as a general. And then I need a guy who can just be a king, be a lore level character, because Goblin lore level characters are cheap, and ride around and whip butt. Just whip butt and try to eat up more points than I spent on him in the first place. And have fun with him, of course. So let me show you first the Cave Goblin King General. This bad boy is 155 points. The Mithril Mail, the Talisman of Supreme Shielding, and the Screaming Swords. So we're talking about a 2-up armor, 4-up ward. At initiative 6 with 5 attacks and weapon skill 5, this little man causes fear, which I thought was a very interesting thing in some cases. -1 leadership in certain fights with a goblin horde could be a problem for some armies. This guy needs people to take challenges for most of the time, so he won't die, and instead he can tear into rank and file guys and rack up combat res with those 5 attacks at initiative 6. I think strength 4. Don't quote me on that, because I don't have the rule book in front of me while I'm laying down this audio, but yeah, maybe strength 4. 155 point general, you know. And I figure the guy's got to live anyway, because I don't want the army breaking apart. So the 2 armor 4-up ward was really where I was coming from first, building this guy. And then I just wanted someone else to take the challenges to make him even more durable. So I decided that you paired weapons that cause fear for this guy. You know, maybe he can tear into some rank and file really quickly in the combat, so that these I4 or I3 cave goblins with spears or whatever I got can't have to worry about it. This other character here, Cave Goblin King, this is the guy I was talking about, riding around, just killing the hell out of stuff. At 158 points, 3 points more than the general. He's got heavy armor, a cave Nasher that he's riding, a hardened shield, and the Axe of the Apocalypse at 65 points. So he's got a 2-up armor and a 5-up ward. And this is where it gets nuts. He's got 8 basic attacks, including an impact hit series from the Nasha. He can reach 11 attacks total if you're lucky at the dice. And all of them could be at strength 6 or higher. I don't know. There's something that really makes me feel good knowing that this guy is bouncing around. You can put him in a unit of Nasha Dashes as a skirmisher, or you can put him in a unit of Cave Nashes, which I'm more apt to do, by the way, because he's bringing, I believe, leadership 8 to that unit. Think about that. That means you can put them farther away from the general. In oddball cases, he can actually charge out of the unit and chase away chaff, or become chaff himself if you want him to, which is something I didn't consider when I started this recording. So those are 2 Goblin King generals that I was fiddling with. And the last character I wanted to talk to you about was a Cave Goblin Big Shaman level 4 at 295 points. This guy's got the Ring of Fire, the Gemstone Amulet, and a Backlash Scroll. Offensive Wizard and an Anti-Wizard with a 4-up ward once per game. So I'm trying to not be hit by random war machines, but who knows. Also, Lord of Death, anything that's rigged to snipe out characters, this guy is probably dead meat. But Backlash Scroll means the miscast table. And while your 3-inch template result and the Witchfire result are relatively harmless, if you play the scroll on a spell that your opponent casts with 5 magic dice, and I'm saying, if you can hold on to this Backlash Scroll till your opponent says, screw it, I need this spell, and he just bangs home 5 power dice. The results could mean an instant kill on this guy's big mage, or a loss of up to 3 spells and magic levels with basically critics. This is just a wacky shaman idea that I had for this cave goblin army of mine, because I need wacky stuff. It's an army that doesn't win very often, so I need wacky stuff like this. And the cave goblin king on the Nash with 8 or 11 attacks, just to give my opponent something, give them something to make them think out of the box. But let's see, I've run through, oh lord, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, maybe seven characters there that I've constructed out of version 1 of the Ninth Age. And I'd like some feedback. I'd like to know if you guys try to use these constructions. Um, if you think they're just downright ridiculous. If you think, especially like the Cave Goblin General with the Screaming Swords, if that just seems like a waste of a general, you let me know, Cave Goblin players. And the Spear of the Blazing Dawn, for God's sakes, somebody tell me if this is too cheap at 20 points for a highborn elf hero. This has been the Blob. Thanks for listening.